Hey, welcome to the Interaxis YouTube channel, interaxis.io. We've gone through a lot of videos. We've talked about things like what decentralized finance is, why it's important. We've talked about custodians and lending and wallets and stable coins and a lot of items, protocols, everything that's going on in the decentralized finance world. We've talked about it in the traditional world and how we got here. So what I wanted to talk about now is kind of I don't know if I call it the state of DeFi, the state of decentralized finance, but kind of put together what we've done so far, because we've done it in a lot of disparate parts, and I kind of wanted to show why this is a little bit exciting and what direction we think we're going to go, and why we think we've hit this point where the technology base for the finance of the future, for the financial world of the future, is being built now and is ready to really explode. So first, what we have to think about is, why were we doing this in the first place? What was the promise of something like Bitcoin, which was kind of the original and most successful DeFi to date, and where are we now? Well, obviously Bitcoin from its early days till now has gone up tremendously in value and kind of formed its own industry. We had Ethereum coming out of that. With the idea of smart contracts and the Ethereum computer and being able to build code that can basically replace trust and risk and such. And now what we have is this ability, some people call it money Legos or whatever you want to do, but be able to take protocols and build on top of each other and create useful financial products and services for people. So if we look at it this way, you kind of have the some sort of blockchain. For a lot of the protocols we've talked about, this blockchain is Ethereum. But now you start to build protocols on here. So you might have lending, you might have stable coins here, you might have exchanges. You might have hedges, which actually might be a combination of exchanges, stable coins, and lending. Some way to be able to say, okay, I'm holding some sort of token, asset, cryptocurrency, whatever it might be. A hedge might say, okay, if that goes down, what's going to happen to me if I don't want to lose 20%? I might get a hedge to where if the value of ETH goes down, I only lose 5% or something. And there's some framework there's some protocol or framework that I can use to make that happen. So the next layer now that we're seeing that we need are things like the user experience. What does it look like? Because now I've taken it upon myself, we've taken it upon ourselves, and probably a lot of people watching this, to learn about wallets and how to move cryptocurrencies around, and we have trust in some of these protocols that maybe we should or shouldn't trust, but we've trusted them. We've said, I will put my money into a lending protocol, I will stake, I will trade on exchanges, and we put some trust there where a lot of people wouldn't, but we've said, okay, we trust the code, we're going to see what happens. Now, most of us haven't done it with hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. We've done it with probably smaller amounts, but what we've seen is we need the user experience to be easier. Right. What we also seeing, which is really cool, is decentralized applications, or dApps, that are being built to put some of these together with a user experience that says, okay, now you can take your stable coin and lend it easily by just hitting a few buttons on your phone or on your computer, and you can see what happens. What we're also seeing is some ability to report and to look at different wallets and exchanges and be able to see where you are in this decentralized world. So this is still being built, but there are a lot of protocols out there that are so promising and working really well. And then you have this user experience and these dApps being able to say, okay, now how do we take this that's been built and make it something that people will actually use? Right, so this is taking these protocols and saying we need people to actually use them, kind of like they use the traditional finance world. Right, we need to make it look and feel a little bit the same. Here's how people actually interact with their money and with their wealth and with their assets. And we need to take that and replicate it, but replicate it in a way that is the promise of the decentralized world. So what is the promise of the decentralized world? It's to take that stack, to take everything we have in traditional finance, right? Which is things like I can own equity, I can get loans, I can lend, I can store money, I can pay. These are all things we have in the traditional finance world, and replicate them in DeFi. So I can do all these things, but equity might be a security token, right? Loans and lending are going to be done via protocol and smart contract, which a security token is a smart contract. Storing, this is done in a, potentially in a wallet, but we have to improve on security. Paying, there are a whole bunch of different payment apps being made so that I can actually pay people in DAI or Bitcoin or Ether. I could always do that. I could always send it via wallet, but now the rails are being built to where merchants can start accepting cryptocurrency, and they have to feel comfortable actually accepting some sort of cryptocurrency, whether it's stablecoin or something else, for their products and services. So, this is where we have stablecoins. And we have payment systems and transfer and exchange. So this is all being built. The promise over here is we want to decrease fees, right? We want to decrease friction. And we also have this idea of this kind of social idea of banking the bankless, right? Part of getting rid of friction, part of disintermediating, right, is that there are people in this country and all over the world that are not able to potentially get into a bank. They're not able to get their money and put it into a bank, because when you can get into a bank and when you can have credit and when you can have an identity, then you can participate in all this. If you don't have an identity, if you don't have a bank, you can't really participate in all this. On top of that, you have plenty of people who want to raise money for equity, who want to lend out, but there's not necessarily the rails and the ability to be able to do that. So the beauty and the promise of the decentralized world is we're going to lower fees and friction by having more people be able to participate. And how can they participate? They can participate because we have taken a lot of the risk and a lot of the trust issues and put them into code form. And a lot of that code has to do with smart contracts and protocols that are being built. So now those of us that are potentially in the traditional finance world, or those of us that have been in the traditional finance world, are looking at all this and saying, okay, it's been used for a little while. We trust this code enough that we're gonna build something on top of it. And that's where we are really. We're taking some of these tools and going, we can replicate this. We can do it for those that are potentially have no identity currently. And I say identity, don't have an identity available to the rest of the world. They don't have a bank necessarily that they can go bank at. They don't trust their government with their currency. So we say, okay, we're going to build the ability and the rails and the ease of use so that if you are in some country where you don't trust your currency, or you don't trust your government, or you don't trust your banks, you can work in the DeFi world. You can still get paid for your services if you're a graphic designer in some country where you don't trust their currency and you don't want to pay the fees for me to transfer dollars for you to do the work. We can do this all via cryptocurrency, right? You can then take that cryptocurrency and potentially get a loan through one of the decentralized protocols. That's where we are, and that's kind of the excitement. I can invest in some sort of equity token right here and go get a loan against it without having to necessarily go to a bank. If I just need a short-term loan, I can go get that without going to a bank. Now, it's going to be really interesting when businesses start trusting it and using it, and they start using it for trade finance. And now you have lending protocols, smart contracts that are governing some sort of 30 or 60 or 90-day payment contracts. in such a way that there's less need for this friction or fees, there's less need for collections, there's less need for huge accounts payable and receivable departments and printing of invoices and mailing. All of this can be done electronically, and that's where we're getting to, because if I go back to my drawing of the technology stack, right, where we have currently Ethereum and we have the protocols on top, these are currently being built, and they're really being tested by those of us that are the enthusiasts, that are willing to put some money into a loan or a staking pool or something, and we're testing out these protocols. And as it goes now, we get all excited because we see the amount of ether locked up in decentralized finance is going up. But what it really is at this point is a bunch of us just kind of lending money to each other that are enthusiasts that want to, hold ETH and borrow, or I might want to borrow money, or I might want to lend money because I can make 10% interest or 12% interest, which seems ridiculous, right? But I can do that now. I'm not willing to do it with any huge sum of money, but we're testing out the protocols. And as that amount of money locked in decentralized finance grows, we're testing more and testing more and testing more. And what remains to be seen is how are these protocols and how is the Ethereum network and all these other blockchains that are being utilized that we might use Tezos or some of their chains or some of their coins. How are they going to scale? How are they going to scale when businesses start adopting some of the lending protocols? Or how is it going to scale when we start creating more and more security tokens? When real estate and oil and gas and everything is tokenized, how is that going to function? Are gas prices for Ether going up too much? That's what remains to be seen. And what also remains to be seen is the more retail investor. What are the on-ramps going to look like? Right now, you still kind of need, it helps to have a bank. It helps to have a banking relationship in order to buy Bitcoin or buy Ether, right? Because you connect it to Coinbase or Cash App or something else like that, and you can actually buy the cryptocurrency to get you into the DeFi world. As we call them, the on-ramps, we still have an issue there, because with the on-ramps, you have a regulatory issue now, right? Because you have to go through the U.S. government here and the government of whatever country you're in to change your fiat currency into cryptocurrency. And once you've done that, then you have this on-ramp. It's the protocols are also being built to say, okay, can I get paid from my employer in cryptocurrency? And once I do that, well, now I don't necessarily need the on-ramps anymore, because I've already gotten paid. The on-ramp was my job, right? I did my work. I get paid in cryptocurrency. Now I'm already part of the decentralized world. I can go get a loan if I need to and pledge my ETH as collateral or something. Once I own a security token, well, now I can use that security token as collateral to get a loan, and I might get that in DAI, and I might pay someone in DAI. So the on-ramps right now are kind of the tough part. The user experience is kind of the tough part, because those of us that are enthusiasts, we're okay with some bugs, and we're okay with having to work through several different layers to get what we need to get to. But that user experience is getting so much better. There's such great wallets and technologies that are trying to make it so easy for us. And it's scaling up very quickly. But when we go from the enthusiast world to the retail world, that's where we're really going to see if the networks, if the chains and everything can handle that level of scale. What we're also seeing is custodians, institutional custodians like TD Ameritrade and Fidelity that handle traditional assets are now looking at handling digital assets. So what you're also going to see is people that are currently have their equity account, their brokerage account with TD Ameritrade, now able to also hold their cryptocurrency there, their digital assets there, and trade those. And that's going to be tremendous, because TD Ameritrade might give us the ability to be that on-ramp, right? To sell some of my GE stock and convert that to Ether or Bitcoin right there within the same custodial platform, and then give me the ability to now get on into this world. So that's why this is really exciting for us, because we're at this state now where these protocols are really out there being tested, and they're working. And there are so many people talking about this now and building for it, and so many smart people and such money going behind some of these protocols, and on top of that, the dApps and the user interface and everything. Because once we start to get that, the people who know certain industries are going, oh, I see how this works in my business. I see how it works in trade finance or in shipping or in construction or in real estate. I'm going to take this technology and these protocols that have been built and adapt it specifically to my business. And then you get people in those industries starting to work on it, and that's where we are. That's what we're getting to, because we see that once we can reduce the fees and the friction, we can create so much more worldwide efficiency in the economy by using a lot of these protocols and these blockchains and this decentralized technology, and have it be trustless, have it be immutable, most importantly probably have it be transparent, that now anyone can be looking at these chains and knowing what's happening with some of these security tokens and these loans and such, so that I might be able to decide who might be able to take a look at my particular transactions and give me some sort of loan based on that. I might be able to decide who can look at my security token transactions, the security tokens I hold, and I can sell those because the exchange protocol has been built that I can sell my oil tokens or my real estate tokens now. There's a second market. It's going to create so much more opportunity worldwide, because you're going to have really good managers, really good money managers, really good business managers, entrepreneurs who are going to be able to create something and not have to have it be on a huge scale, create it on a relatively small scale, raise the money, get the loan, pay their bills, everything like that, because of this decentralized world that they weren't able to do in the past. It's the next iteration, but a huge iteration of the internet that brought us all together. Now it's going to bring our money together and make it more efficient and useful. So that's the excitement. That's kind of a state of DeFi, but it's really taking everything we've explained so far and putting it together so you can really see how it's going to all work, how it's going to kind of mirror the traditional finance system, but make it that much bigger and better. So again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit us on interaxis.io. Find us on Twitter @interaxis8, and let us know if there are any other topics that you'd like to hear us talk about.